All right, let's turn our attention now to the high school platform, AZ Audibles, with Eric Sorensen and Zach Alvira. The subject of officiating and lack thereof at the high school level, finding quality referees, is become a big point of emphasis with the AIA here in the offseason and talking with several high school football coaches. Look, officiating and it not being good is nothing new in sports, right? We hear it at the pros, we hear it at the college, and it trickles down to the high school level. I caught up with Eric Sorensen and Zach Alvira, our two guys on the Audible stage, about the lack of officiating, the depth of it, and what can be done to improve it.
I am pleased. If you're talking about, Brad, the job that these referees do, just being on the sidelines most Friday nights, I see how hard they work as a crew to make the best decisions possible. They understand how important it is for these coaches and players, and they work very, very hard at their craft. I think you hit the nail on the head. Growth. Next year, there will be over 280 schools in the AIA. More schools, more teams, more games, more refs needed. It's really pretty simple.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with Eric on this one. There's a lot of outside noise that referees do have to deal with on a daily basis whenever they're covering games. You have coaches who obviously don't agree with calls all the time. You have players who sometimes will argue. You don't see that as much in the high school level, but it does happen in some cases. But most importantly, you have parents. And parents, as we all know, can be very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Enthusiastic, I guess you can say, or emotional when it comes to a certain game. I've seen, teams, parents get thrown out of gyms or off the field or whatever it may be. The referees do not have an easy job whatsoever. And I do think there are some instances where they can be a little bit better, but at the same time, with what they're dealing with, I think they're doing a pretty good job. And like Eric said, the growth factor. I mean, we're going to have a lot more schools coming up, even beyond just next year. There's going to continue to see more growth in the Valley, more schools opening up. And we need those officials in order to, obviously field these games and let these kids have that opportunity at that competition.
Okay, but let me go a little deeper. Yes, we see that there's more teams, that's right, and there's more games. We're not even talking about JV and freshman games. Those training ground games are absolutely brutal in this space. And parents following officials out to cars, the obvious thing is you're done, but you're gonna have daddy ballers saying, no, I'm not done. Paying these guys 50, 60 bucks a game, how far can you go, and does it need to be more of an emphasis in terms of pay to recruit people that are in their 20s and 30s and grow them, guys? Is this really falling on the AIA? Because we've talked about here so far, yeah, I get it. It's just we have to make a better environment for these officials so that there's enough of them, Eric.
Brad, one head coach recently told me that he sort of compares the referee shortage to the teacher shortage that we have in Arizona. They don't get paid well. They're obviously overworked at times. There's a lot of pressure and distractions, as we talked about, with parents and coaches and sometimes players. And I think some referees are just like, is this really worth our time and effort? They're in it for the kids. They're in it for the product. At the end of the day, if they don't feel appreciated, especially on the paycheck, I don't necessarily blame them for not wanting to do it.
I think, honestly, we have to find a way to appeal to maybe some former athletes, maybe some of them, that are graduating from high school, maybe not going on to play college ball, but they obviously have that knowledge of the game. We have to find a way to kind of give them an incentive to maybe stick around while they go to college, junior college, whatever it may be, and referee some of these games. I do think it's very similar to the teacher shortage as well. They, just as much as anybody else, especially when it comes to sports, deserve to be compensated for their time, especially, like we mentioned previously, what they have to deal with on a nightly basis most of the time.
Would either one of you ever consider refereeing? I've youth coached before. I've reffed some 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. I threw some parents out. It was kind of fun. Would either one of you ever consider refereeing in this current environment? Eric?
I don't think I would, Brad, simply because I don't know all the intricacies of being even a high school ref, much less a Pop Warner ref. I mean, I couldn't really tell you the difference between like a chop block and a legal block at the high school level. So it would be best for me just to stand on the sidelines and cover these games. And it gives me even a greater appreciation for the work these referees are doing, because I think for the most part, they do an excellent job.
Zach?
So like you, Brad, I actually coached or helped coach a youth football team a few years ago, and I loved it. And for a while, honestly, I kind of thought about getting into refereeing. Now in this landscape, I probably would think about it a lot more. I think it'd be a lot of fun to a certain extent. I think I'd want to go to the, younger, lower level, a little bit more, open to fouls or travels or whatever, if it's basketball, for example. I don't know if I would do it at the high school level though.